Hey guys, welcome. This morning I have one of the best real estate agents, I think the best real estate agent in Nassau County. I have the Miss Dunia Taylor with REMI Realty, and we are going to talk about what is going on one of the fastest growing counties in Florida. It's under high demand, and they've got some great things going on there. That's what we're going to talk about, and what's going on at REMI Realty, what's going on right now as far as the market. Rates are starting to drop. What's her vision for 2024 going on in that in how she's placing her agents in the best possible position. So, Dunya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to
Thanks for
be here.
coming on this morning, and I really want anyone out there, whether it's real estate agents that might have clients, or hopefully buyers that are out there that are looking to move to Northeast Florida. Everyone hears about St. Augustine, and they of course they know about Jacksonville, but I think a lot of them almost when they, of course, if they're driving into the state, they're stepping right over one of the hottest counties. With a lot of I think if I want to say more affordable homes out there. There's a lot of space, but I want you to tell us a little bit about the different things that are going on out there. So tell us a little bit what's going on currently, and let's, what is your vision for 24?
Okay, yeah, definitely. So, Nassau County definitely is growing tremendously, and I don't think I say we, but I don't think anybody realized how fast it was actually going to grow. So they started building Wildlight, the community right off of 95 on 200, a few years ago, and then they had some sort of permitting issues, and then COVID hit. So they kind of slowed down building for a little while there. They still have hundreds of homes. They have apartments there as well, but they plan on growing tremendously. There's a couple of builders there still in offering amazing incentives. It's almost hard to beat. It's kind of hard for a resale market out here in Fernandina, just because they're offering so many different incentives in that specific area in Wildlight. And it's projected to grow. I think they said they were going to build 24,000 more homes from State Road 200 all the way to the Georgia line. I know we're here for it. REMI Realty is definitely going to be super.
What are let's break down. So you brought up the incentives. Are we talking about the buy down incentives, try to get that lower interest rate to attract the buyers in? Is that what they're doing?
Yes, yes. So I just received an email, I think 2 days ago, and it said that they have the fall or the December bonus was $75,000 in flex cash, and then they're offering $15,000 to $20,000 down towards closing costs. And I believe the rate was 5.99.
Okay.
I closed a couple of homes there in the last 2 months, and both of my buyers received 4.99 interest rates, which is unheard of nowadays.
Right, right. Now,
Um,
are those the temporary buy downs? I would assume getting down
no,
that low.
nope,
Those are
not
permanent buy
temporary.
downs.
Those are permanent buy downs for the home.
Wow.
We made sure of that for sure.
Oh my goodness! Wow, it's 4.99 permanent buy down. Now, what kind of home? It's right now. And they're building. I assume within those 24,000 homes, they probably have different sections of different levels of homes.
They
What are
do.
the homes that you're seeing now, like size wise and so forth,
So
and price range?
they're the typical 3 bedroom, 2 bath. In between, I would say, depending on how much you upgrade in a home, essentially, but
Hmm.
it's ranging in between 430,000 to 900,000. Some of my friends who have bought in that area, I say friends, but they're customers as well, just
Hmm.
because we have that relationship. They've been in their home maybe a year and a half, and their value has skyrocketed over $100,000 worth of equity just from building in the beginning stages of that community.
Right.
There's different areas in there. They have like the dog parks. It's kind of like Nocatee. They have all the different, areas. They have pickleball. They have all kinds of
Gotta
stuff.
have the pickleball. Gotta have the pickleball now. That's the thing.
Especially out here.
I
Um,
was amazed. I was a month or so ago. We were over in northern St. Johns County in the Veterans Park area, and I think they have 8 pickleball courts there.
oh yeah,
And my son's basketball team was using the outside court, and the pickleball courts are right there. And literally, there's 10 people standing on the side, and literally every pickleball court's going, and they're just playing. Someone loses, they step out, someone steps on, and I was just amazed by
That's
the
how
demand, because I know in my community they want pickleball courts. They're asking for pickleball courts, and it's like, can we take? We don't have room for it. Can we take down a tennis court, right, and make it
yeah.
into 4 pickleball courts? But
Out
it's
here,
amazing.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
in Nassau County, I really feel like that's in the top 3 of must-haves out in this community.
top
It's dog
3 pickleball.
3. Yep. It's dog parks, nature trails, and then pickleball.
Right.
Those
Now
are the 3 things they
you mentioned pre-show. Wildlight plans to be its own township.
correct.
Okay, so that means it'll eventually have its own police and fire and obviously taxation ability. So it's not going to be a community development district. Am I understanding that correctly?
As far as I know, it's not. They said that once they finish building out, they'll figure out logistics, of course, but,
Hmm.
the sales agents make it really clear that they have this document that everybody's signing that it will be its own township. Now, I don't know about the police department and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
They may have their own, or they may be included in Nassau County's.
Or invited Nassau County in. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, but they're definitely going to have a lot of infrastructure, a lot of commercial as well, not just residential. They have to keep up with it. They just built a brand new Publix right there on State Road 200. Baptist Health is going right there as well, and they're just really community focused here in Nassau County. It's huge.
Knowing what I know about CDDs, they got to do that at the beginning. It's not something they can choose to do later. How, from the standpoint of the amenities, you said something about Nocatee. Of course, the first thing everyone thinks about is there going to be big splash pads and all this stuff, water parks, basically. Is that something that's in the mix there, or just a robust, pickleball, tennis? I'm assuming there's going to be some golf courses in there somewhere, probably too.
I believe there is going to be stuff like splash pad, and they don't have all the plans out. They have the residential layout of everything, but they don't have the rest of basically the community amenity areas just yet. Right now, there's only one pool for the entire area, and that just can't. There's one there, and there's one in Del Webb as well, but that's a gated community, and you have to be 55 plus to get in that community.
Sure.
So they're definitely going to be building a lot more because Wildlight's supposed to be kid friendly and very nature friendly. It's that southern living type of feel. They're going to have a lot of outdoor stuff.
Well, with 24,000 homes, they're going to be building for the next,
Years.
decade or more, depending on how the economy slows things down. Obviously, we're under demand, but, with higher interest rates, things are slower, type of thing going on. So they're going to be building for a while. And I imagine, although a lot of the land is slated out, what the builders are going to do, or in an individual specific community, there's a lot of communities that haven't actually been opened yet, right? Because there's a long way to go. Like you said, they're going to go all the way up to the Georgia line. That's kind of so you mentioned family friendly, and I know when I had you on the show, those who want to know more about Dunia, she was on an earlier podcast talking about her personally. But let's talk about REMI Realty and you as a leader. And if there's a real estate agent who might be watching here that may be interested in moving to Nassau County or already lives in Nassau County and wants to talk about what's going on at REMI, and because you, if I remember, you expressed greatly that having that family atmosphere in your office, in your brokerage, is very important.
It is. It definitely is important. We haven't really grown tremendously since the last time I was on the podcast, but it was a little bit of a weird year for everybody. But we definitely do plan on growing in 2024 because there's a lot of real estate that needs to be had, and a lot of realtors backed out of the industry in this last year. So I feel like the industry needs the ones that are dedicated being in the industry and wanting that family like atmosphere, because that's what we're about at REMI. I mean, we have our Christmas party coming up next week, and it's so funny. We're already joking with each other about it and everything.
We're going to pass the white elephant. We're going to do a white elephant gift exchange.
I'm not. We're going to do a couple of fun things, but I don't know if we're going to. That scares me sometimes with a large group of people.
All right, so you're leading a brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
It's you're that you're not under some big Keller Williams umbrella, Coldwell Banker or something like that. It's you.
Yeah.
What are you with the you mentioned all around. I mean, obviously, it's slower than it was 12 months ago.
Yeah.
What are you right now as far as keeping the troops together, keeping a positive attitude, and obviously, when you are having your team meetings, what are some of the little tips and tricks that you're doing maybe differently now than you were, say, 12, 18 months ago?
So we're definitely doing a lot more training and staying up to date on current current market status, current software status as well. They're changing the whole, the MLS is changing, real
Mhm.
MLS. So, they're giving out those training videos and also just keeping my agents motivated and educated, I feel like gives them confidence in order to stay strong in the industry. So just making sure even though they're not doing a ton of business right now, making sure that they're staying up to date and educated so that when they do have that rush of people come through, they're confident and they can push through just like they have been in the past.
All right, it's time to sharpen the sword right now. A little slower, maybe not taking as many calls or going out in as many showings to sharpen the
Absolutely.
sword. One of the things that I've, just talking to people just in general in our industry,
Mhm.
obviously, the phrase listings. What's the phrase? If you do listings to last, or whatever it is that the phrase that the realtors use, how important are you doing something different, or making sure your agents, I mean, obviously with your experience, you may have been doing the full listing appointment, but
Mhm.
I think a lot of people felt, 18 months ago, 24 months ago, for surely, you walked in and, obviously just sticking the sign in the yard, you had multiple offers with, very quickly. Um, Now you have to list a little more strategically because, as you mentioned earlier, those builders are giving a lot of incentives. So if you're
They are.
listing an existing home, what are some of the things that maybe you're doing a little differently or taking from a different angle as far as going out on a listing appointment to make sure your home is placed or properly listed so you are getting a lot of looks.
So we're definitely looking at the numbers essentially. Sellers in their mind have their bottom number. So, presenting to them in the beginning, letting them know the struggles of the new construction in the same area, letting them know, hey, we're going to have to compete with them. We're going to have to offer some money towards buy downs. And, it may not be as much, but it's a move in ready home. And, a lot of people don't have time to wait 7, 8 months on a new build. So, it literally goes hand in hand. That's the thing because they're pacing themselves right now on new construction. So they're releasing 2 or 3 lots and they won't release any more lots or sell any more homes
Right.
until those are sold.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants lot 27, but they're on lot 3, they might not want to wait and they may look at resale homes. So if we're presenting in a sense of, okay, here's the price, we're doing a bunch of open houses, you have to do open houses around in Nassau County specifically, you have to do open houses around events because that's what drives people to the community.
Hmm.
So if you want, like for example, this weekend's the Dickens on Center Street. So we're going to have an open house at one of my listings over in Yulee because they have to come through Yulee in order to get to the festival. And my seller there is offering money towards buy downs. And really I feel like personally in buyers' minds right now,
Hmm.
the buy down is what's most important. So if you're presenting that in the listing and you're letting your seller know in advance, this is something that we see is working well, then I feel like the listings won't sit on the market and get stale after a while.
So this particular one is your listing or one of your agent's listings?
It's one of my listings.
There's one of
It's
yours.
a
So when you went out there to do the listing presentation,
Mhm.
did you recommend that, hey, we should do the buy down and obviously price it to get that money to do that?
I did. I did
Yeah.
recommend that we didn't do the buy down at first. He wanted to wait 30 days, see the traffic and all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff before we did, but now we are offering a buy down. Sometimes they have to see for themselves that,
Yeah.
it's not working.
Well, I
Sometimes
mean,
it's
in
not
in
working.
this case, I think to talk about the industry, as I'm out there and my boss has been in town. We've done several lunch and learns, and we're talking about and we have a here at Town Bank, we have a little flyer. We keep it simple, stupid. We don't want to throw a lot of numbers in there because it starts to confuse people. But
Definitely.
as the agent going out there and doing the listing, you're strategically saying, hey, we're competing with the builders, right? We've got to, here's the buy down. Let's bump the price 3% so we can get that 3% back and offer the buy down. In this particular case, he chose not to do that. Did you have to drop the price of the home in any way, or you just inserted the buy down before dropping the price?
We did both at the same time because
Mhm.
we were also going to do an open house the same weekend. So we just wanted to push everything out all at once. So we'll see how it works out after this
Right,
weekend.
right. But in your personal recommendation, you would have said, let's do it right up front
I
to
would have.
obviously, hopefully get that traffic and never have to actually drop the price.
I would have in that specific community for
Yeah.
sure. But, if it's a different community, what we do, and I'm sure a lot of agents do it as well, but we showcase the homes in single site websites so that when we're promoting a home, we're promoting just that one home and not all the listings at REMI Realty because we want to make sure their home is shown and presented properly.
Right. Now, Nassau County has some other areas that I think are attractive to those moving in because there's some people who like a little bit of acreage, right?
Hmm.
On the western side of Nassau County, in particular,
Yep.
you do have some areas that have homes that are on acreage or manufactured homes that are on acreage. Tell us a little bit about that market and what's going on there.
Yeah, so there's a huge market for that for sure. And I'm thankful now that the lenders obviously offer a lot more products for mobile homes because it was very limited
Hmm.
years ago.
Yeah.
In y- the in the west side of Nassau County, there's a ton of acres. There's nothing but land in these areas,
Right.
and builders are starting to see that as well and start building in building communities in the areas. But mobile homes specifically, a lot of buyers think, oh, it's the less expensive way to go to buy a mobile home on some land. Eventually I'll build. If they are going to eventually build, then yes, that's probably the best bet. But long term, it's not the less expensive. The homeowner's insurance is more. The home inspections are more. You got to worry about, is your well going to stop working, your septic, all these other items. The
Hmm.
mobile home depreciates, not like a home. So there's a lot of factors into going, and we just need to make sure that the buyer specifically understands that because, I think I've sold more mobile homes in Callahan and Hilliard than I have actual homes, just because that is the market out there.
Right, right. I was telling someone the other day. I remember when my parents were first looking to come to Florida in the early '90s. Of course, their friends had been coming down and they were winterizing in Naples and so forth, and living in these 55-year-old communities, which
Yeah,
were basically manufactured home communities,
yeah,
planned obviously with little amenities and that sort of thing. And that was the thing to do. And yeah, the thing was that was the less expensive way to go. But I think you're right. Uh, long term, it may not be. Now, obviously, if you find a manufactured home that has a acreage and it's priced right, it may be a steal, and because you're looking to
yeah.
build a little later.
Yeah, so and that's the thing, it really just depends on what they wanna do long term,
Hmm.
because I'm not gonna lie, some of these mobile homes I show and sell are nicer than actual homes.
Yeah.
They build them really strong and sturdy, you just have to make sure you have all the proper inspections and the foundation and the strapping and all that kind of stuff. So there's a whole nother process, that's a whole training in itself with my agents just so
Yeah.
that they understand the full process of that.
It's definitely great from a lending side when
Mhm.
you have an experienced agent that has done manufactured homes before because
Yeah,
they already know the people that need to be called, the inspection, the engineer report, all that kind of stuff. It makes
yeah,
life a lot easier if
yeah,
so if you're an agent who's never done a manufactured home before, it's good and you're up there in that area where they're selling that stuff, or even though Clay County, same type of thing, or Putnam
yeah,
County, same type of
all of
thing
them.
going on. Learn how the process works, dig a little deeper on some of the little things. It makes life a lot easier in the transaction for your client.
It really does. It
Yeah.
it it definitely does for sure.
Now, there are opportunities. They come across where you do have a manufactured home on, 10, 20 acres.
Mhm.
Um, what in your vision of that, is subdividing, is that difficult to do? I mean, I'm just pulling this question really out of the air right now because I just was talking to someone the other day. But if someone said, "Hey, yeah, I want to buy the manufactured home, I'm going to live on it," but
Mhm.
you know, they don't know who needs 20. Who needs 20? I mean,
We all need 28.
well, we all need 20 acres. I think you've got some acreage, don't you? Yeah. You let the dogs run, or maybe you're a horse person, but if you could find a gem of a home on 20 acres, I mean, how difficult is it to, like, maybe to subdivide that in some way and break off? Is that a difficult thing to do? Have you dealt with that ever?
I have dealt with that. It depends on the situation. If the property has been subdivided numerous times prior to, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to, because then it falls into like a subdivision type of category.
Hmm.
So you just have to go through the process of getting it approved through the county. A lot of people want property so most people want property in Nassau County that already has well and septic on it, because they don't want to pay the impact fees, because they're much higher in Nassau County than they are in any of the surrounding counties.
Hmm.
So if there's well and septic already on it, they would prefer that. But there are a ton of people that do subdivide it. You just have to make sure you get with the county and follow the steps to actually do it. But you can only divide it and make sure it's still within the zoning. You just have to make sure you divide it accordingly. It's not a long process. It's just a tedious
Is that some
process.
information? I mean, how accessible is that information? Like, if I was, you have some, I wanted to buy in Nassau County, and I'm like, oh, I got 20 acres. It's a manufactured home, and
Mhm.
I want to subdivide it. How easy is it to get the information to find out, uh, whether it's
It's
next
very,
year I subdivided it or 10 years down the road I said, how easy is it to get that? Because that information may change, right? They may rezone or something. But how
yeah.
easy is it to get the information to find out if that land is, you know,
It's very easy. So essentially, you would just call the county. They're super helpful here in Nassau County.
mm-hmm,
It depends on where you are. In Hilliard, they have the town of Hilliard. You would just call them and talk to the planning department. They look things up immediately when you call them. Like, they're not the type of people that say, "Let me get your name and number, write it down, I'll get back with you." They'll immediately look it up. They'll walk you through the process. I mean, there's so many times I've called Nassau County Property Appraiser's office just to chit chat with people to get information. I have been super blessed. I went through the Leadership Nassau program with the Chamber of Commerce out here, and two of the women that were in my class, actually, one works at the property appraiser's office and one works in Hilliard. So it's actually very convenient. They say I can call them anytime, ask them questions. They'll walk me through the process, or my customers through the process if they have any questions on it or anything. And anybody can do that. They can call the county and just kind of step through the process. And I'm a firm believer in getting everything in writing, because I would hate for a customer to buy
right.
20 acres and say, "Yeah, you can subdivide it," and then go through the process and they can't subdivide it. Essentially, it has to go through the process in order to get approval, but you want to make sure there's not going to
It's,
be any hiccups during that
it's
process.
eligible, basically, is what they're
Correct.
basically going to tell you. It's
Correct. Yeah.
eligible at this moment in time before.
Yeah.
But I mean, as the county grows and the
Mhm.
population's coming in, I imagine it's going to be, I mean, not that it's not already there. It's just it's going to increase Callahan, the population in those places,
Oh, yeah.
because of the affordability of the area right now compared to some of the other areas.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely the West Side's more affordable there, and a lot of people are migrating. So a lot of people years ago migrated from the West Side into Yulee and Fernandina, and now they're just basically, their home skyrocketed, so they're selling it, putting their money down for land, and then going back to Callahan and
Yeah.
Hilliard. I've seen that a lot lately.
So let's jump to the Far East and talk about some, investment, Airbnb. What
Yeah.
kind of clients are you getting that want to, or just people just want to live on the beach or close to the beach? What are you getting there in the Fernandina Beach area, Amelia? What's going on there? What kind of clients and what kind of properties are you seeing are in demand? And
It's it's a little bit of everything from small condos, 1 bedroom, 1 bath condos, to obviously 5-bedroom, $1,000,000 homes on the beach. So that's the craziness of the east side of Nassau
hmm.
County. So there's a ton of Airbnbs from Yulee over the bridge, not even on Amelia Island. So from Yulee all the way into the island for sure. And I mean, I have customers that have bought homes in Yulee, and they're from New Jersey and New York, and they just rent their home out. And they're like, whenever I want to come for like Christmas or whenever, then I'll just go in there. They just Airbnb it out. It pays for itself plus more. The market for Airbnbs is huge in Nassau County. There's a ton of people wanting to, and I'm not seeing a lot of like investors, so to say. I'm seeing a lot of real people who like who say, I want a condo. I want to be able to come to my condo, but I also want to Airbnb it out at the same
When
time
you're not
when I'm
there.
when I'm
Yeah.
not there. And it's huge. I mean, the East Side does a lot of events on Center Street. It's very community focused. We've been out here 2 years. I can walk down the street to lunch and see 15 people that I know just within the community. The mayor's walking around, just it's that little hometown feel, kind of like a Hallmark
Yeah.
movie where everybody
Yeah.
knows each other. And that's what's great about it. And so events like this weekend's the Charles Dickens on Center Street event, and it just brings in people from all over, and that's where we get
Right.
our leads from,
Right.
because they're walking up and down Center Street.
Are there any restrictions in any of those areas? Like St. Augustine, Beach is restricted. How many, there's like 100 Airbnb, coupons, and your house has to have that coupon to be able to Airbnb it. Are there any restrictions right now?
There are. So like in the city of Fernandina, there are definitely some restrictions. It depends on what it is. If it's a condo, it depends on how many in the complex, if they even allow it in specific condominium
Hmm.
complexes. In the historic area, it has to be a certain, you can rent your home, but it has to be a certain amount of time. It's not, they try to keep it to where it's not too touristy, but in a sense that people are still coming. So it's
Well,
really the
the
beaches and
tourist industry it's like St. Augustine. I mean, that's where the money comes in, right? They're going to the restaurants, they're going to the shops, they're going sport
yeah.
fishing or whatever it is there. The
Mhm.
complaint that I heard in the old city of St. Augustine, where I'm closer to, was these people come in for the weekend for a wedding, and they'll overpack a house, their Airbnb being a house,
Mhm.
and the garbage, the cars all over the street, type of thing, and that's really what the complaints were for the full time people.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing a lot of that here on Amelia Island. I'm sure it happens, definitely, but it's definitely few and far between. And the homeowners try to keep, and that's what I mean. There's not a lot of investors. So if it was an investment home for somebody, and they're just renting it out to whomever,
Right.
for however long they want to, that's different. These are homeowners who like take pride in ownership of their home on the island as well, and so they don't want it trashed or anything like that. There's definitely stipulations on all of them to where you have to take care of the house essentially.
In your opinion, as someone, because there's still, to me, I think the Airbnb wave has kind of gone by a little bit. In other words, I think there's a little oversaturation, but then it's market to market. In your opinion, the Amelia, the Fernandina, the areas that we're talking about here, do you feel there's still opportunity for someone who wants to do an Airbnb?
There are, it's just few and far between. You
Hmm.
definitely have to keep an eye on the market every single day if you want something. And so I guess it depends on what you want to. If you want to be by the beach, if it's a good opportunity, it's going to get snatched up by somebody locally real fast. Because there's a lot of people. So that's one of the issues in Nassau County on the island specifically is workforce housing. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
people that live in either the west side of Nassau County or even Duval County or some in Georgia. They just can't. They work on the island but can't live on the island. So if there's
right.
something that's a good deal, they're going to snatch it up, renovate it, either rent it out or move into it themselves.
So I imagine you probably have a short list of some people who are looking for these opportunities. And
Yeah.
so if it comes across, in front of you, you're jumping on it. You're calling them right away, saying we need to go down. Make a decision on this because this is going to be gone in 48 hours.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it has slowed down a little bit here. And some people don't know what they want because there's
Hmm.
so many great areas on the east side. So it's either on the beach or it's the north side or it's downtown. It depends on where you want to be essentially. I have three actually right now that are looking for a good Airbnb, but they want it to be a nice home so that they can come to it as well because they live up north. One wants to be downtown, one wants to be at the beach. So it really just depends on the customer.
Right. Do you, to me, in this area, Northeast Florida, the two counties. Clay is kind of there. There's a little bit of demand for it yet, but obviously St. Johns County and then there's Nassau to me right now, and I think Nassau is kind of as far as a. I apologize. I didn't put my silent on my phone.
Oh, that's okay.
All right. Um, St. John's jumped out, got the schools. Nassau now has become a little more affordable. At one time, St. John's was affordable. So now it's not. Nassau is just, whatever that amount of years behind as far as in the development and the, as prices are going up. If you want equity, you want long term, and you're a young person, I'd be buying in Nassau County because I think it's got a lot more upswing, right?
Absolutely.
Possibilities. What is your sales pitch? And when you're talking to your agents who are talking to these people from New York, Michigan, Ohio, we Californians and so forth, I imagine some of them are looking at both counties. What is your sales pitch for Nassau County?
So they're definitely super close. Everything, the school system, they're both A-rated schools, and they're definitely super similar. The two counties are. The thing about Nassau County, and I actually wrote a blog post about it on our website. The thing about Nassau County is it's kind of like a little secret that nobody knows about just yet. Statistically, I feel like our prices in Nassau County are super low compared to other coastal areas in Florida. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, it goes hand in hand, with locals here in the town. They wanted to keep it a secret, but then again, they want the tourist act. They want it. They want it both ways. But I feel like a lot of people just don't know about Nassau County and what it has to offer just yet. And so that's why it's not at the caliber of St. Johns County. But I feel like it's going to get there, and it's going to get there quickly, especially with Wildlight and all these communities. And they're building new construction homes here on the island as well. And it's still it's pretty affordable compared to other coastal areas, for it to be a nice island. Essentially, it's still pretty affordable, and it's just a secret that nobody really knows about. So I feel like the values are always going to hold and definitely increase over the years.
No, I mean, the demand's there. Obviously, you're closer to the airport. That's one sales pitch for those who might be travelers on a regular basis. You're closer to the airport. I mean, obviously, Old Town St. Augustine has its charm, but Amelia and Fernandina do too. You have, like you said, you're having the festival downtown this weekend. You walk down the streets there. There's great restaurants, the lights, and all that sort of thing going on.
The Strip Fest in May, it brings 100,000 people here to the island alone, just in a week.
Is the it seems to me, and just to put it out here on the video for those who may not know, obviously St. Augustine, obviously total drive for the tourists. There's always something going on in downtown St. Augustine. Mm-hmm. It could be just as little as just a little art festival to just big huge events. They had a concert in the big field in St. Augustine not too long ago. Brought obviously, but every weekend, obviously Nights of Lights is famous in St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Do they kind of have that same kind of attitude up there from the Chamber of Commerce of regularly, almost every weekend there's something going on, seafood festival, that kind of stuff, just regularly something to do every weekend if you want to participate?
There is, and there's a lot of kid-friendly and dog-friendly events as well. I mean, they do a lot of stuff here, and then they have the specific, like the Island Hop, craft beer festival. So there's always something going on here in Fernandina. That's one of the reasons we opened up on Center Street, because we're right in the center of all of it. And there's always something, whether you have children or not, there's always something to do out here in Fernandina. Always.
Well, we're at 33 minutes. I told you I'd try to keep it to 30 minutes. Is there anything that we did not talk about? Do you think is important that people need to know about, whether it's REMI Realty or Nassau County, things going on? Anything we need to add here?
Well, I mean, REMI Realty is definitely growing. We plan to grow a little bit more in 2024. So if you're looking to make a switch, let's chit chat and see if it makes sense. There's lots of things happening in Nassau County, and we just need the manpower to basically help run it. And Definitely check out our new blog post that I just posted this morning about the Dickens on Center Street. It's a really cute festival that goes on this weekend, and there's a link in there if you want more information on it. You can definitely get it, but it's really really fun in Fernandina. The festivals are really fun, so I just want people to come experience it.
Yeah. I think, Dunya's up there and she knows what's going on. Obviously, she's abreast of everything that's going on. She's experienced it. She's involved. If you're in that elevator with and someone's a real estate agent, what's your little little elevator pitch about REMI Realty?
We're the best brokerage out here on the island. No, I actually have really good friends that work at other brokerages out here, but we definitely, Nassau County is definitely community family based, and they're really local, and that's what we take pride in, is being super local out here. I'm on the board of directors at the chamber as well, and there's just a ton of things coming up, and it's just really exciting to see all the fun stuff happening here in Nassau County, and I want to be included in it, and I want all my agents to be included in it as well.
Excellent. So, Dunya, what if someone saw this today and wanted to reach out to you? What is the best way to get a hold of you?
My cell phone, either call or text.
Okay, and that's just listed on the REMIRealty.com.
Yep.
They can go on there and get that. So I appreciate you coming on today. I hope some people watch, and whether it's now or later today, because we'll spread this. I'll put this on your page as well. They can watch this video and got something out of it. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks so much for having me, Tracy.
No problem, Denny. You have a super